Well, guys, welcome to Course 2 in the No Man Left Behind Self-Paced Training. This course is entitled Methods and Tactics. And if you took the first course, Foundations, you had an introduction to the No Man Left Behind model. And I want to run through that model again really quickly as we go into the methods and tactics so that we know where we're starting from. The No Man Left Behind model, remember we spoke about in the last course, is the grocery bag. It has all the concepts that you need to have an intentional strategy, an intentional process to disciple the men in your church. And the model gives us a way to sort of take that bag of concepts home with us. It gives us a way to keep all those thoughts organized so that we know what we're doing when we're trying to implement this in our churches. And at the bottom of this model, you can see we have these three levels of foundations. The first foundation that we talked about was that discipleship is the portal priority. So we're going to write portal priority down here. And when we say discipleship is the portal priority, what we mean is that should be the focus of our efforts, is to build disciples. We're not trying to focus on men's behavior at the same time, so even their behaviors that we want them to stop. We're also not trying to just get them to do a bunch of stuff, sing songs and give money and those kinds of things. We're really focused on helping them love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength, love their neighbors as themselves, and then as we help them grow closer in the relationship with Christ, then the behaviors will follow behind that. But we really want to focus on discipleship as our portal priority. At the next level, we talked about the man code. And what the man code speaks to is the environment that we create for the men in our church. We want an environment that tells men that you're important here, that we want you here, that there's a place for you here, that there's something for you to be a part of, that this isn't just a place for you to drop your wife and kids off and then go play golf, but that the church is a place where men are welcome and where men participate and where men are able to take part in the leadership of the church. And so we want to create an environment that's friendly for men. And then at the top level, we talked about the three strands of leadership. So I'll write three strands up here. And the three strands of leadership that will be necessary for you to build a sustainable ministry to men in your church, discipling ministry to men in your church, are the enthusiastic support and involvement of your senior pastor, a passionate leader, somebody that wakes up in the morning thinking about how are we going to disciple the men in our church this week, and then a committed team to surround that leader, surround that pastor, and help pray for, vision cast, plan, and actually engage themselves in discipling men in the church. Your team and your passionate leader, they want to become to each other what we're trying to help the men of the church become. So these are the three foundations of our model. The next thing we talked about was the spiritual journey that men go on, and we use this concept of a wide, deep continuum, wide and deep. And when a guy is early in a spiritual journey, we're going to cast the net wide, right? We're going to do things that have a broad appeal, bring guys in based on some of the interests that they might have. And then as a guy matures spiritually and gets more and more involved in the church, gets more and more interested in the Bible and following Christ and spiritual things, we're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper with him. And the reason the wide, deep continuum is so important is that, for one thing, if you have guys that are really deep spiritually and all you do is give them wide things to do, give them sort of shallow things to do, then eventually they're going to get bored and leave. At the same time, if you're trying to bring in guys that aren't really that interested in spiritual things and all you're really doing is offering them deep, deep spiritual activities, they're not going to have the context to even understand or be interested in that. And so we want to plan our activities across this wide, deep continuum, and we're going to talk about that more in the Methods and Tactics course that you're about to take. Then we talked about how do you categorize your men. And so there's 5 types of men. I'm just going to write 5 types up here. 5 types of men. And starting from the wide side, we have men who need Christ, and then we have cultural Christians, guys either just inside or just outside of your church. Biblical Christians, these are men that have now decided that they want to really be involved in spiritual growth. And then your leaders. And remember, we talked about a leader, maybe a little bit of a different definition of a leader, but a leader is somebody who's interested in helping other people grow. Not necessarily somebody that stands up front, but a guy who's focused outward and upward and helping other guys grow closer in their relationship with Christ. And then we talked about across this whole continuum, there are hurting men at any given time in your church. Maybe as many as half of your men might be going through a job crisis, a financial crisis, a marriage crisis, a health crisis, any of those different kinds of issues that they're dealing with. They may be hurting, and so those are also opportunities for us to show them the gospel and show them how that can be a part of their lives. Down here then we see we sort of have a conveyor belt, right? And the conveyor belt is made up of all the activities of our church, not just our men's activities, but all the activities of our church. And so we use this phrase, all-inclusive ministry. All-inclusive. And an all-inclusive ministry to men is a mindset. It's a way of looking at the things that the church does and helping to maximize the impact, the kingdom impact, of every interaction our church has with every man. From the UPS driver to the guy singing on the praise band, to the guy working in the nursery, working in the parking lot, handing out bulletins, collecting offering as an usher, wherever men are in the church, all of those activities are an opportunity for us to help a man become discipled. Obviously, it includes our men's only activities, but we're going to have a much broader view. This will help us eliminate some of those turf battles that we have, your ministry versus my ministry. It helps us address the issue of some guys feeling like they're in the ministry, the men's ministry, and some guys aren't in the men's ministry. It puts you on the pastor's team because your pastor now realizes you're not trying to create a whole separate church for men alongside the church that he's already got with all the demands that it has on his time. And it takes the pressure off you because you don't have to do everything. When you are looking to maximize the impact of all the ministries that deal with men in the church, it takes the pressure off you, and you can just focus on those areas of need, those gaps, as we'll talk about again in Course 2. So an all-inclusive mindset. So what we have here then, as you can see, is as a conveyor belt. We're taking men who need Christ or who are at a certain place in their spiritual development, and we're drawing them down this conveyor belt. We're helping them get on this conveyor belt and progress towards having a deeper and deeper relationship with Christ. And the goal of a conveyor belt is that once you're on it, it takes you where you want to go. That you don't have to keep getting guys started over and over and over again. And so we're going to try to create a seamless process that once we get a guy in here, the process just keeps making it obvious and easy for him to take that next step moving forward. And so the engine that runs this conveyor belt is the create, capture, sustain cycle. And so in the middle of this create, capture, sustain cycle, in the hub, is our vision. Now, vision is more than just a purpose statement or mission statement. It's much more than that. It's a mindset. It's a communication tool. And that's the first thing that we're going to hit in Course 2 is really how do you communicate your vision successfully to the people in your church, and who do you need to communicate it to maximize your men's discipleship efforts. And then we have this cycle here, and we call this the create, capture, sustain cycle. So I'm going to write create, capture, and sustain. And what this is when we're trying to draw guys in, trying to get them to take that first step, we're creating value for them. We're creating momentum by creating value. So we look at our men and we say, all right, what's valuable to them? What will draw them in? And then we plan an activity or an opportunity that will meet their needs, that will get them interested based on where they are on their spiritual journey, and we draw them in. Once we get them in, then the next thing we have to do is we have to capture the momentum that we've created. A lot of times we get guys excited about something, and then they go away because we haven't captured the momentum. And so whenever we get guys interested and involved, we always need to be ready to show them the right next step. That's what capturing momentum is all about. Once we've got them engaged at that next level, then what we're going to do is we're going to sustain the change in their lives by connecting them with the ministries in the church that are doing the most effective job of discipling men. And so that's the sustain change step. And as we keep guys doing this, and then we're going to draw them into the next level, the next opportunity, we're going to capture the momentum of that activity. We're going to channel them into the next thing that's going to help them keep growing. And we're going to keep them moving down this conveyor belt by always showing them what the right next step is. Just keeping them moving, making it easy, making making a seamless process for them to move down the conveyor belt as they become more and more developed in their relationship with Christ, as they become more and more discipled men. And our goal is to get them down here to the leader part, and then what do? Then now they're down here helping us engage more men in this process, helping more men follow Christ, and more men become disciples. That's our goal. We're not about behavior modification, we're about heart transformation. We're trying to build disciples who love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. And that's what the No Man Left Behind model is about.